Welcome to No Apologies on Beck. We are squirrely today, folks. It's Monday. We've got a whole week ahead, and who knows what's going to happen.
Well, we kind of know what's going to happen, at least tomorrow.
Yes. Oh, okay.
That's our first topic, but I'm sorry. You're doing the preview already.
I'm still doing the intro.
Okay, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt. We have a lot of really great stuff this whole week. This whole week is going to be amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Rick Becker.
I co-opted everything.
Laurie Hintz is my co-host.
He's not wrong. We're very, very, very squirrely today. There's our names right there. Oh,
all
that's
right.
Cool. Okay.
So before we get into we've got great stuff. We've got great guests. So much. Number one, I wanted to talk about this. We had Luke Simons on Friday.
Yes.
And zoom in just a little bit there, gentlemen. This is Charles Murray, his book, In Pursuit of Happiness and Good Government.
Ooh.
So this was written in 1988. I think it's a great book. I encourage folks who like to read about political philosophy to read that. We talked about little platoons where people are reliant and they find those virtues in being part of a community, like a neighborhood and a family and a church and a fraternal organization. I encourage people to read it. I just wanted to show that's the book I was referring to on Friday.
Excellent. And that was such a fun time with Luke Simons, too. We had a good time with him. Okay, are you ready to dive in?
Yep.
All right, we got a lot to talk about. First, we're going to discuss the impending Senate impeachment trial of Donald Trump. And it is set for tomorrow, to begin tomorrow. And it is interesting in that they have already sworn in all 100 senators. They were sworn in already this last week, and the article was formally given already presented to the upper chamber. Now, the House impeachment brief has some really interesting allegations right off the bat, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to show a video clip right off the top just to get you a little up to speed on what's going on.
Republican legislatures are waging a war on women, all women, and they're taking away fundamental rights. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
That sparked a rare rebuke from Chief Justice John Roberts, writing, quote, threatening statements of this sort from the highest levels of government are not only inappropriate, they are dangerous. President Trump piling on.
That was a terrible thing he said. If that were a Republican, you would see really bad things happening.
As a matter of fact, he absolutely should be charged with premeditated murder because of the lives that were lost with this invasion, with this insurrection.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
But I think if we're going to criminalize speech and somehow impeach everybody who says, oh, go fight to hear your voices heard, I mean, really, we ought to impeach Chuck Schumer then. He went to the Supreme Court, stood in front of the Supreme Court and said specifically, hey, Gorsuch, hey, Kavanaugh, you've unleashed a whirlwind and you're going to pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you continue with these awful decisions. This inflammatory wording, this violent rhetoric of Chuck Schumer was so bad that the Chief Justice, who rarely says anything publicly, immediately said this kind of language is dangerous as a mob tried to invade the Supreme Court. So if people want to hold President Trump accountable for language, there has to be a consistent standard. And to my mind, it's a partisan farce because they're not doing anything to Chuck Schumer, not doing anything to Representative Omar, not doing anything to Maxine Waters. It's just not fair. It's just partisan politics under a different name.
And he is not wrong.
Once again, he hits the nail on the head. Senator Rand Paul. So that it does come down to the double standard. And I think we are, so it starts tomorrow.
Correct.
Okay. And I am very, very curious to find out the types of accusations that are going to be made, because that will provide the information that will indicate, are you just blatantly having a double standard? And are we going to apply that standard that they start tomorrow to the things, as Senator Paul said, to the people on the other side that have been saying this for months and
Right.
months and
I
months.
just pulled up the brief that is the accusations, essentially, from the lawyers that are bringing this. And President Trump refuses to accept the results of the 2020 election, they say. President Trump encourages his followers to come to Washington on January 6, 2021, and fight to overturn the election results. Vice President Pence refuses to overturn the election results. President Trump incites insurrectionists to attack the Capitol. Insurrectionists incited by President Trump attack the Capitol. President Trump's dereliction of duty during the attack. The House approves an article of impeachment with bipartisan support, and then they go on for their arguments. So they have their accusations already set up there. However, the founders designed impeachment for a real purpose, and that purpose was a process to remove office holders from public office, not a tool to punish private citizens. And so this guy is no longer in office, and yet they're bringing this. So that is probably going to be a big part of the rebuttal from the Republican side.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions here. One is the constitutionality.
Right.
Can you impeach someone who's not even in office? The other part is that whole aspect of what it is that he actually said. Now, they wanted him to come testify.
Right.
Now, the idea is if you have a solid case, you don't need the accused to testify.
Correct.
You present your proof. And the degree that he incited does not rise to the level that they say. In fact, he used similar language to have people come and do their rallies, and has done that in the past. There wasn't a mob as a small subset of that group that then attacked. Everything was peaceful. So his same words, his same imploring people to have your voice heard, to fight like hell or you won't have a country anymore. When he's done that in the past, there were no issues.
Right.
So how can his language, the same language, be construed as inciting because of a small subset? It's not inciting. There's no consistency there at
I don't know
all.
about you, but I'm already having impeachment fatigue, and it hasn't even started yet, because this is now the second time. There were Democrats who literally were planning and said so that they were going to impeach the president before he was even in office.
Yeah.
And so this is nothing new. This is just kind of silliness to me, and this was something that I read today. This is from Ronna McDaniel, and she said this on Fox News. After spending 4 years telling Americans about the need to move on from President Trump, it turns out Democrats are the ones who can't let him go. Now, with millions of Americans still out of work, those same Democrats have decided the best use of their time and taxpayer money is to try to remove President Trump from a job he no longer holds. And I thought that was very well put, because, you know, if you're trying to remove somebody, that's great, but he's not even in office any longer. So it seems like utter foolishness.
We've talked before about how they have created the narrative that he is the embodiment of everything that they say is evil.
Right.
So if he's gone, what do they have anymore after that? And so they're going to keep circling back and over and over and over bringing that up. The other thing is that the evidence is there that the people that were planning to cause mayhem were planning this well before the alleged words of incitement from President Trump. It was on Facebook and the other social media, the same as the planning and execution of the destructive BLM protests and riots and Antifa riots. This is all happening before. Trump is just being used by the left again. There's no there there.
Exactly.
And I think Donald Rumsfeld was the first person to say that.
Yep.
It's a great phrase.
It's true.
There is no there there. All they are trying to do is make a point, continue their to berate their scapegoat, to have the boogeyman that will continue to divide the nation.
It's all fueled by hate. It just is. It's TDS.
Yeah.
in a big way. So
Well, let's continue with a little bit more in the way of details with regard to the impeachment. We're going to have one more segment on impeachment. Stick with us. We will be back soon.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Heroes and Icons is now Cozy TV. Don't worry, you'll still get your favorite Beck News programming without changing the channel. Real people, real news, Beck News.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
And we're back with no apologies on Beck. We are talking impeachment, but first,
we got a little promo to do here, a little
the folks at Beck are doing something crazy, you know. There's Beck News. I don't know whether I should do the used car salesman or the German. I'm in the mood for either. So you can say, fast cash, now, fast cash. Or you can say, oh yeah, we got the fast cash. You know, that's some good stuff coming up.
Very well done.
Yeah, I don't know, but.
Well, the big word that you need to see at the very top of that is Thursday. Enter Thursday, this Thursday the 11th, for a chance to win $1,000. And I'm told it is cash, yay.
Yeah, it's cash. And not only that, but from my calculations, you have about a 10 or 20% chance of winning, because I think like 5 to 10 people watch the show. So hey,
the odds are good.
You better watch on Thursday, because someone is going to win $1,000.
I'm going to give you that telephone number too, in case you didn't write it down fast. It is 701-450-1431.
Fast cash!
There it is on the bottom, 1431. You can enter on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and you probably already followed it. It's
Fast
Thursday
cash.
only. Thursday only.
All right. $1,000 there, you know.
That's legit. That's great. I mean, it's not like $100.
Let's go back to impeachment.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about impeachment, and it's starting tomorrow. The House impeachment brief alleges that Trump incited a mob to breach the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, as you know, while lawmakers were convened in a joint session to consider the certification of Electoral College votes. Now, Trump's legal team denies the allegation, of course, and argues in a memo that the trial is unconstitutional, as you said, because Trump is no longer president. And the team also argues that Trump exercised his First Amendment rights in calling into question the results of the election. He was not wrong.
Amen.
Now, Alan Dershowitz has weighed in on this, too, and his idea is that the Democrats are assaulting free speech in this way. The brief filed by the House managers, he says, advocating the conviction and disqualification of citizen Donald Trump. And he says citizen Donald Trump contains a frontal attack on freedom of speech for all Americans. And would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I think Alan Dershowitz is a fascinating figure.
He definitely
I'm
is.
finding that I agree with him more and more in these recent years. Apparently, he has a different idea of political philosophy.
Indeed.
However, he seems, I don't know about the early years, he seems to have a sense of integrity, especially when it comes to civil liberties and free speech. Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
So many of the Democrats who are doing this are doing this for political theater, in my mind, because they really do not have a very good chance of winning this at all. In fact, nobody thinks there's a chance that they're going to win anything.
Two options.
Okay.
Kabuki theater.
Right.
Kangaroo court.
We've done both of those.
Which better applies in this
Kabuki
situation?
theater. This
That
is
does.
absolutely, it's all bells and whistles and flashy stuff and no substance whatsoever.
Now, one of the things that they may be pushing for, they have a huge road ahead of them, a huge hill to climb.
Indeed.
But if they are able, which I don't think they'll be able to, but if they were successful in conviction, Trump would not be able to run again.
Right.
But he would also lose all Secret Service support. Yeah, as
For
well
him
as the
and his
salary,
family,
which
right.
no, he doesn't care. But
No.
yeah, can you imagine Trump not having Secret Service, with half the country hating him, Orange Man bad?
Yeah, that's just despicable.
But
It's just the
it's
thought of
funny
that.
to me that probably a significant part of the motivation is, in addition to just the whole division, continue
Piling on?
beating,
Right.
to make it so he can't run again.
Right.
That would be crazy.
That's what they're most terrified about, don't you think? I mean,
Well-
I think that's probably their greatest fear.
I mean, how old will he be? How old is he now?
I don't know.
remember.
He's 70.
Well, I mean, the dude, he has more stamina than an average 50-year-old.
I don't know how old
maybe
he is
could
because
run again.
well,
I
he
don't
could,
know.
I guess. But the uphill battle to which you referred is really interesting too, because 45 Republican senators voted in favor of a resolution calling the trial unconstitutional. So they've got that right there. So that's 45, and since that's because Trump is now a private citizen, but with the Senate split 50-50, that means that the impeachment managers would have to convince 17 Republicans that the trial is constitutional and that Trump is guilty of inciting an insurrection, and that is just not going to happen. There's no way. 5, they'll probably get 5 of the regular ones again, you know. But however, I do not think that they're going to get 17. There's no possible way in my mind that they're going to come up with 17 extra people.
No, I don't think it's the case. So you know what? That may actually go to if they know that they're not going to have the votes, then it is Kabuki theater. If they think that they have the votes, then it would be a kangaroo court.
Right. Now, the process has already been a little tainted here. If you remember, if you go back to when Nancy Pelosi rushed through those articles of impeachment right off the bat, she rushed them to the House with zero due process, by the way, for President Trump. I mean, it was like, zoom, we got to get this going, we got to get this through. And then you know how long those articles languished? 28 days. And then sat there for 2. So it's weird. That seems a little odd. What was the purpose of rushing it through and then slamming on the brakes and then holding them for another 28 days? What exactly is the thought process there?
You know, there's a little nugget in there too that I find interesting, is that normally for this type of situation, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court would be presiding over the trial, and they refused because he's not in office, and so it doesn't apply.
Hello.
So one of the senators, is it Patrick Leahy?
Leahy, I think,
Yeah,
yep.
Patrick Leahy is going to preside.
He was hospitalized recently too, so
Yeah.
I don't know how his health is doing exactly either.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's interesting that someone who would be in that position is also one of the people that will vote on the trial.
Yeah, that's a little weird, isn't it? That's a good point. I hadn't even thought of that. That's a very good point.
A kangaroo court
is now in session too. Oh my goodness, I know. Well, it's a real interesting thing. More than 350 congressional staffers on Wednesday implored the Senate to convict Trump, describing the traumatic events. And everybody's seen the AOC video, I think, by now. And she's like, I was terrified for my life.
Yeah.
It's just so theatrical. It's very hard to take any of this seriously because they've been A, planning it before the man was even in office, B, obviously had some hand in the actual insurrection, with air quotes, because it's not an insurrection in any way, shape, or form. Yes, it is a tragedy that people passed away and that they died as a result of this thing. However, I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. It'll be Kabuki Theater. You can watch it starting tomorrow.
And the most interesting thing is going to be the language they use. Could they apply it to themselves? Are they just overtly giving a double standard?
It's always a double standard. So, all right. When we come back, we will move on, and we will have a guest in studio, the Speaker of the House of the North Dakota Legislature.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Everybody needs an off season, but our announcers have a tough time slowing down.
Hey, do you mind if I practice a little bit? Right, I'm really big man. Johnson holds, shoots, he scores!
Incredible! For the second time today, Brent has jammed the printer.
Lowry's third caramel roll of the day. That's a bold move.
And he drains one. Blind squirrel finds a nut. And back to normal.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
The experienced professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Win $1,000 from the Beck News Fast Cash Contest. On Thursday, February 11th, watch Beck News programming to be entered to win $1,000. Watch Dr. Duke at 4, Ladies of Another View at 4:30, Down the Road with Joel at 5:30, No Apologies with Becker at 9, and No Filter with Debbie at 10. To enter, contact us during each show in one of the following methods. That's it. Visit beck.news for the full contest rules and showtimes. Beck News Fast Cash for $1,000.
All right, we are back on No Apologies on Beck, your after hours oasis of sound. I'm thinking back to the fast cash. They did take the used car salesman approach and not the old German approach. I see. So there it is again. Boy, you just can't get enough fast cash.
Don't forget that's Thursday, so just mark that on the calendar.
$1,000 there, you know. That's some good
then.
stuff.
Yeah,
I'm going to be watching on Thursday for sure. All right. So enough tomfoolery.
All right.
We are in the presence of the Speaker of the House of the North Dakota State Legislature, Representative Kim Koppelman. Welcome once again.
Thank you, Rick.
West
Good to be
Fargo.
back with you, Representative Becker.
Yes. I wanted to have you on because I was not aware when we last spoke. You have a bill that, as submitted, introduced, would give us a flat tax.
Correct.
Now I think that is significant, and so. I know that there's some convolutions in the sausage making here, but if you mind, tell our viewers what we're talking about with regard to a flat tax.
Sure. Well, you know, North Dakota has, I'm told, the lowest income tax of states that levy an income tax. So we already are a low tax state when it comes to your income tax. However, we still have a graduated tax system. We still have all kinds of intricacies to it, and I think you ought to be able to figure out your low North Dakota tax on the back of an envelope or on your cell phone in a matter of minutes, and a flat tax would let us do that.
Yep.
So the original bill basically said that we tried to keep the threshold high enough so that low-income people would not be taxed at all, and so we're not increasing tax on anyone. The problem is we tried to keep it revenue neutral for the taxpayer. When you do that, it costs the state money, and of course, we're in a process right now where the state doesn't have a lot of extra money, and so people are concerned about that. And so it's difficult to make that work. However, I think it's worth doing. And originally the committee didn't look fondly at it because of the fiscal note, and I encouraged them to do some work on it and try to find a solution. And they were able to improve it to some degree, but still not get it where they wanted it. So I visited with the chairman of the committee, who is a proponent and has been for a long time of eliminating the income tax. And he has always sort of told me that, well, gee, if we can't eliminate it, making it flat would probably make sense. And I said, well, why don't we study both? Because we come into every session with these ideas. They never get passed because theoretically there isn't enough time to flesh them out and so on. And so if we study that over an interim, then maybe we'll have the opportunity and the information we need to come back in 2 years and make it happen.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Well, I mean, a flat tax is a fantastic way to go. I mean, it's fair, it's equitable. There's
eliminates those special preferences.
Right. You get rid of loopholes, and
Right.
I mean, it allows you to do that,
Right.
and you simplify things.
Right. And our taxes between, its average is probably 1.5% to 2.5%, something like that. It's very low.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be difficult to flatten that.
Right. I think it's 2.9% for everything over $400,000.
So the
So
high- on the high
clearly,
end. Yeah.
clearly, we're most of everyone's income is below that.
Right.
One of the things that I think about with regard to this is this idea of whether it's revenue neutral or not. And I mean, if you're going to do something good with taxes, we have to expect that there might be a revenue loss
State's
to
going to
the
lose
state.
some money, and that's the way the original bill was
And
written.
that should be okay. Back
Yes.
in 2011, I believe, would have been some of the first income tax decreases. I came in 2013. We decreased it some more, which was good. And the net revenue for income tax increased after we did that. So it's hard to say whether it was net loss or net gain.
Right.
But we really haven't done a whole lot beyond that. So it is frustrating to me that with I think it was a $35 million price tag, because what that means is that the government takes in $35 million less, the state government does, which means people
if everything
keep 35.
is static.
If it's static.
And you pointed out, oftentimes more money comes in because people take advantage of that. They like it. And
when you're taxed less, you are able to do things which produce more income.
One piece of history, Rick, that goes back before your time in the legislature. I was a co-sponsor of the bill. I think our former Majority Leader Al Carlson was the prime sponsor of a bill years ago which decoupled us from the federal income tax. If you might recall, years ago in North Dakota, our income tax on the state level was a percentage. It was 14-point-something% of whatever your tax obligation was on the federal level. Well, then we had Congress making tax law in effect for North Dakota. That was a bad idea.
Yeah.
So we decoupled from that, and then the things you're talking about have progressed since then. So we're on the right track.
Well,
we just need to
Kim,
be patient and get there.
You are very, very generous in your language. We're on the right track, absolutely. It seems like we got on the track where there's the little car that you do this, and
Baby
we've
steps.
stopped in a station. The guy that's doing this to the crank to get us to go has stopped in the station to get some coffee, maybe some caffeine, I'm not sure. And I think it's time maybe we hop on the train that's actually a locomotive.
There you go.
And I mean, when you look at our spending, I think we could have afforded $35 million, which
I
I'll
do too,
be
which is
talking
why I
about later.
introduced the bill. And
I know.
And as you notice, when I said revenue neutral, I wanted it to be neutral to the taxpayer. I didn't want anybody to pay any more tax. So they either paid the same or less under that bill.
Which is fantastic.
Right.
That's what the citizens of North Dakota
right.
want,
That's
Kim.
the plan.
But yet we can't do it. Now
Yes,
it's going to be a
please.
study. Now it's going to be a study. So I'm not as gracious as you are, and
Well, the committee did have a do not pass recommendation planned for it, And I think a study is preferable with that. I obviously would have preferred it passing, but
so you don't want me to get up and debate the amendment, is that what you're saying?
Well, it's up to you.
Okay.
I can't speak, from the speaker's roster.
I know.
All I can do is throw my gavel at someone.
I was so excited about this flat tax.
Yes.
Again, just because it's moving things in the right direction.
Correct.
We should be looking, if we're going to tax income, it should be flat. Ideally, we should be taxing income as little as possible and taxing something based on consumption.
I was just going to say, I love
necessary.
the consumption tax. That's far, far better and more equitable.
Yes, and I think the number that they came out with was 2.4 something or whatever was where it would have been flattened out. So still pretty low.
Okay, you've got several bills,
Yes.
and you pointed out a couple more. House Bill 1199. Tell us a little bit about that. I think it's well on its way, right?
Well, yes, House Bill 1199 is a bill that would basically ensure that people's equity in their home, the value of your home, the amount of that you own, in other words, the value of the home less whatever you owe the bank, is your equity. And current law, believe it or not, allows that if you fall behind in your taxes, which can happen to anyone that falls on some tough financial times.
Particularly during a COVID emergency.
Exactly, for a period of time. And right now, under current law, also in the state, you can lose your home within 2 years. They can foreclose on your home and sell it for back taxes in 2 years. That used to be 5 years. We changed that a few years ago. I voted against the change. There have been efforts to bring it back to 5. None have succeeded. However, so in as little as 2 years, your home could be sold if you're behind in your taxes. And right now, under North Dakota law, you could lose everything. In other words, when they sell that home, not only does the county or whoever's selling it get to keep the back taxes, which is understandable, any interest that's accrued, which is understandable, any penalties that are outstanding, and however, they can keep it all now. They can keep that equity that you have. So if you have a $250,000 house with a $50,000 mortgage, you have $200,000 of equity. You could lose that, and that's probably your life savings.
That is
This bill
nuts.
changes that.
That's
they only
nuts.
get what they're due.
And the tenor on this bill, good?
This one was passed unanimously in the House, I believe it was about a week ago. A week ago Friday, something
I would imagine it'll get a good reception in the Senate.
I would hope.
Yeah. All right. And now we have also House Bill 1471.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. Church.
Well, the North Dakota Constitution says in the same sentence that property owned by a school used for educational purposes or owned by a church used for religious purposes cannot be taxed. We have never tried, to my knowledge, in North Dakota to tax church land or church buildings. However, we are taxing portions of property owned by churches. And several years ago, they put an acreage limit in where you couldn't tax the church building or the parking lot, et cetera, but you could tax, maybe not an extra 2 acres beyond that, but anything outside of that you could tax. So the result was we had tax collectors descending on churches with tape measures saying, this blade of grass is not taxable, but we think this one might be.
Right.
This bill fixes that. Puts our law in line with the Constitution, which of course it always should have been in the first place.
We only have a half minute left, but is it possible that with this bill that churches could own contiguous properties that are commercial or they're leasing out to...
The bill separates that out and says no. It says if they are owned for a view to a profit, that they are taxed, they're commercial property. So
Gotcha.
and that's usually the pushback we hear.
Yeah.
And also, but I mean schools, I've seen in our school district, which is rapidly growing, I'll see a bean field or a cornfield out in the country with a sign that says home of a future school. That property is not taxed, I've learned, when the school owns it either. So for whatever reason, tax collectors like to pick on churches more than schools.
Interesting. Well, very good bills. I'm
Thank
very,
you.
very sad about the flat tax, and I will say that you are definitely on the right track. I wish maybe you weren't quite as nice as you are, because some butt needs to be kicked, man. So, anyway, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Very
Great
much
to be with you
appreciated.
again.
Stick with us, folks. We'll be right back.
Howdy folks, it's the County Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay-bussin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a comb roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the County Line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Win $1,000 from the Beck News Fast Cash Contest. On Thursday, February 11th, watch Beck News programming to be entered to win $1,000. Watch Dr. Duke at 4, Ladies of Another View at 4:30, Down the Road with Joel at 5:30, No Apologies with Becker at 9, and No Filter with Debbie at 10. To enter, contact us during each show in one of the following methods. That's it. Visit beck.news for the full contest rules and showtimes. Beck News Fast Cash for $1,000.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. We are ready for some brain food.
I like doing brain food. It's helpful. I have some interesting brain food for you today too, and what's interesting about it is from where it came. And this is so weird. This first word came up, it showed up in a very unlikely place. It was on a menu. My husband and I went out to dinner this weekend, and we were out at a local restaurant, and it had this word on the menu as part of the description for the meal that he had. And the word is conglomeration. I just thought it was a really interesting word to put on a menu. It was a conglomeration of vegetables beneath his protein, and conglomeration is my word. So I hadn't heard that one for a long time.
It doesn't sound very appetizing.
I know, right? It was interesting, but it was fantastic. The food was great. And the definition of conglomeration, it is a noun, and the act of conglomerating, the state of being conglomerated. Something conglomerated is a mixed mass or collection. The regular definition is a group or mixture of different things, a process in which different things come together to form a single thing. In a sentence, you would say there are a conglomeration of shops and restaurants, or this conglomeration of vegetables underneath your protein on your menu. So that's from where it came. Some synonyms for the word conglomeration would be accumulation or aggregate, aggregation, array, assemblage, band, which is a conglomeration of people, bank, batch, battery, block, bunch, a clump, a cluster, a clutch, a collection, a constellation. It's a group, a grouping or a conglomeration, a huddle, a knot, a muster, package, parcel, pass. I mean, there's tons of different words that you can use in place of conglomeration. So a variety.
Interesting.
Yeah, very
interesting.
Very interesting word. So from a menu.
All right. Okay, what I've got is litmus test.
Ooh.
Litmus test, yes.
Okay.
So there's litmus paper. We've got a graphic here. Litmus paper is what you use to conduct a litmus test. And all it is you're testing if something is acidic or alkaline. Alkaline meaning basic as well. And it's I don't know, it's measuring how many, the concentration of hydrogen ions And if your pH is below 4.5, at 4.5 or less, which means definitely acidic, then it turns blue paper red. And if it's above 8.3, then it turns red paper blue. And it's very interesting. Not really.
It is interesting, though, because
yes, explanation.
I was going to say, well, you can use that as a phrase that when you're talking about something. I always say it's a litmus test for something else. So I use that in regular vernacular.
And you've now just taken away the second portion of my brain food segment.
So sorry.
Because litmus test is commonly also used, Lori. You may not know this.
Okay.
It's commonly used in politics to.
Oh,
no, that's not it.
Yet.
That's number
not
2.
Yet. Even I knew that wasn't
For
coming yet.
crying
Just
out
wait.
loud.
Just wait. Put it back.
Oh my Lord.
It's the whole night's going to be like this
if you want something
tonight.
done right, you gotta just So, but litmus test, commonly used phrase.
Yes.
In politics, many times, like a one-issue voter will say, "Are you?" For instance, Trump.
Right.
Classic litmus test, because you may have a lot of issues that you're wanting to discuss. You may have nuanced positions on various issues. You knock on a door, someone says, "Are you with Trump or against him?" That was the litmus test.
Yeah, full on.
Very interesting, very interesting. But that's it.
Are litmus tests even used very much anymore? I mean, is the pH thing a real issue? Is that a...
Well, a form of a litmus test we use all the time if you have a hot tub or a pool. Or
sure.
going to a pool,
Sure.
they're always testing the pH as
Sure.
well as alkalinity and various things like that. But yeah, so it's used.
It's a thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Okay, my second one is an interesting word too. This one's interesting in that it's Swedish, and I'm half Swede. So ombudsman is my word. So ombudsman is also a noun. The definition is a government official, as in Sweden or New Zealand, appointed to receive and investigate complaints made by individuals against abuses or capricious acts of public officials. So one that investigates or reports on and helps settle complaints would be an ombudsman. An ombudsman would deal with complaints from, say, the hospital patients and staff. If you used it in a sentence, you would say the insurance company's ombudsman was able to resolve the problem. The town's ombudsman said he would look into charges of corruption. And the history is, as I said, it was Swedish. Literally, it means representative. It means from the Old Norse, ombudsmother. That's very Swedish. But,
I had a nickel for every time I said that.
The umbud is the commission, and mother is man. So commission man, representative, ombudsman.
Gotcha.
Somebody who goes and is a regulator, a watchdog. Some of the other synonyms would be an overseer, a monitor, a supervisor would be an ombudsman, somebody who's an observer. Perhaps the people who watch the vote counting would be counted as ombudsmen.
Yep, representing the interests of the voters.
Yep, checkers.
So my next one, I'm debating because I might switch it up. My next bit of brain food could be for a job opening for a producer for this show. Or
I think they heard that. I think they might have heard that. Okay.
Or it could be this graphic, which you may have seen previously.
It's not coming up.
It's coming. I'm waiting, boys. I'm not doing anything. Oh my God. Okay, seriously, there's 2 job openings. Okay, what I'm talking about is the world's smallest political quiz.
Okay.
Now, if you haven't heard of this, you really should look it up. It's in some different locations and different websites. World's smallest political quiz. I find it fascinating. It's only 10 questions.
Wow.
10 questions.
And they can...
And well, it puts you on wherever, according to those questions, you might be, whether you're left or right, or whether you're more government, statist, or whether you're less government, libertarian. And so you kind of find out where you belong. What's so interesting about this has been done for years, decades actually, this quiz. Now they sometimes change the questions, because of exactly, with the times. But so often people find that they eke up into the libertarian category because so often people are more of the, you know what, just government, stay out of my life, leave me alone. I want to leave other people alone. I want them to leave me alone, which is absolutely libertarian nature.
Interesting.
So
maybe you should go and try that and see where you sit on that.
World's smallest political quiz. Give it a try.
Very, very, very
Don't
cool.
Google it. Go it.
That's exactly right. Good
Right.
job. So when we come back, it's a Rick's Rant. We haven't had one of those for a while, and I think you're going to like what he has to say. Join us.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
Win $1,000 from the Beck News Fast Cash Contest. On Thursday, February 11th, watch Beck News programming to be entered to win $1,000. Watch Dr. Duke at 4, Ladies of Another View at 4:30, Down the Road with Joel at 5:30, No Apologies with Becker at 9, and No Filter with Debbie at 10. To enter, contact us during each show in one of the following methods. That's it. Visit beck.news for the full contest rules and showtimes. Beck News Fast Cash for $1,000.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
The experienced professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Kohler Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best-built, best-backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck, where sometimes the producers are just plain drunk. So
they are not.
We're having a war.
They're my friends.
We're having a war right now. Anyway.
So this last segment tonight
Yes.
is going to be on a rant that you are.
It's a little bit of a rant. So yes, I want to talk about the gas tax. We had Vicki Steiner on last week. It was last week, right? I think so. So Representative Steiner had a bill which would increase the gas tax in a graduated manner by 3 cents over the next couple of years. That has been taken to committee and they've changed it. They've increased it to a 6-cent increase, which would occur right away. It's not graduated. Now, 6 cents a gallon might not sound like a lot to you. It is a 26% increase in one fell swoop, raising gas taxes 26%. We currently are 38th. Let's go ahead and actually let's pull up Vicki's bill first. So that's an indication. They've changed it from 23 to 29 cents per gallon. That's the bill. It's pretty straightforward. If you pull up the next graphic, this is from the Tax Foundation. Now, the Tax Foundation puts out a pamphlet. They also have an app and a website, which is fantastic. Very unbiased because they're ranking all 50 states. They're not trying to convince one state that they're good or bad or anything else. As you see there, we have currently a 23-cent excise tax. There are no other taxes or fees. And we rank 38th as far as the highest tax. So that's good. We're down toward the bottom. With the tax increase, we would move to 29th. And so, again, still in the bottom half, but increasing nevertheless. Now, what we're looking at here is, generally speaking, the gas tax is something that I would generally agree with. It's a consumption tax. And ideally, that's how we would tax people, a consumption tax, a user tax. If you're using the road, you're paying the tax, and you're paying the tax to fix the road. So in the scheme of taxing people, this is a good tax. If we need to improve our roads, this is not a bad way to do it if we need to derive the income from somewhere, right? The question is, do we need to do it? Now, what Representative Steiner posed to me, and I can't argue with this, is she gave 3 options. Number 1 is take from the legacy fund to fund the roads, because we currently aren't able to fund the roads, allegedly. So take from the legacy fund. That's not an ideal situation, because we're taking from something that is supposed to benefit future generations. And ongoing maintenance costs of roads and highways is something that we should be taking on, not stealing from future generations. Number 2 is to increase a tax. Now, again, if we need to increase the tax, a gas tax is not a bad way to go. It's a fair tax for people using the road. She gave the 3rd option, which is don't do anything, let the roads and bridges crumble. Now, to be clear, I am not trying to attack Representative Steiner at all. I agree with her thinking. If we need to somehow derive more revenue, this is the best way to do it, without a doubt. However, there is a 4th option. The 4th option is you don't let bridges and roads crumble, you don't steal from future generations, and you don't needlessly raise taxes. Instead, you live within your means. I'm going to have the producers pull up a graphic, which is a state tax collections per capita. We still have the Tax Foundation, this pamphlet, tax collections per capita. Ladies and gentlemen, look at this data. North Dakota takes in more tax dollars for the state per capita than any other state. More than New Jersey, more than California, more than New York. We take in more per person in the state than anybody. Go to the next graphic, if you would. That is the, where do we have it? I don't know. The point is here, we are number 1, okay? If we needed the revenue, which being number 1 for the most state collections in the entire United States, would imply that we are not in need of more revenue. If, over these last 10 years, we had done something like eliminate the income tax for corporations and individuals, which Representative Koppelman just spoke about, we would drop all the way down. We lose all of that revenue. We would go from the number 1 most tax per capita to number 4 in the United States. We could be number 4 most tax per capita and have gotten rid of our income tax. If you look at state and local tax, we are number 4 in the United States, second to Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey. If you were to eliminate all property tax, we would drop down to number 17. We could eliminate the tax that you and I hate most entirely, wipe it off from the slate of North Dakota, and we would still be in the top half of all states for taxing the most per capita. We would still be higher than the U.S. average, and we wouldn't have any property tax. We could get rid of all income tax and all property tax, all of it. How could we function? We would be 28th as far as the ranking for the most tax per capita. We would be 28th. We could eliminate all income tax, all property tax. We would still be taking in more tax per woman, man, child than South Dakota. But we haven't done that. We have income tax, we have property tax. We're taxed more on our property than we ever have been. But somehow We have to raise taxes to not have crumbling roads and bridges? Does that not tell you that maybe we're not managing our money properly? Does that not tell you that we're not living within our means like we expect families to do every day and every month? There is absolutely no reason to raise any damn tax in North Dakota until we see tax relief, which we have not seen for all these years that the revenue that's been coming in from oil has been like no other state in the entire United States. We should not be borrowing a cent. We should not be bonding a cent, and we should not be taxing a cent until we get our house in order and stop spending every damn dime that comes in. That's the end of my rant. We will be back.
Amen.
Next time, what are we talking about?
Well, we are talking about next time the federal gun bill that is being put forth. So we'll be talking about that. We'll have another legislative guest and much, much more. And don't forget, Thursday's the day to enter the contest for $1,000 too. We'll see you next time.
Yep, and next on Beck is No Filter with Debbie. Stick around. We will see you tomorrow night.